Welcome to All Bodies on Bikes, the podcast, where all bodies are good bodies, all bikes are good bikes, and all rides should be celebrated.
All Bodies on Bikes is a movement to create and foster a size-inclusive bike community. So join your hosts, I'm Maggie.
And I'm Marley.
As we explore the complexities of the biking world, help us break down barriers and create the world that we want to see. And don't forget that all bodies really means all bodies, not just larger bodies, but bodies of all sizes, ages, races, abilities, genders, sexualities, and beyond.
Come along for the ride. Hi, and welcome back to All Bodies on Bikes, the podcast, where all bodies are good bodies, all bikes are good bikes, and all rides should be celebrated. This is Marley here with a solo episode this week, trying something a little bit different. As you may have seen on our social media, I got the chance to race in Mid-South Gravel a couple weeks ago. And while I was out there, I played around with some audio recordings, pretending like I'm the next Ira Glass on This American Life, interviewing folks and just, getting some audio footage from the course. So with the help of our amazing editing team at Feisty Media, here is the episode. We're going to start out with an interview with event director Bobby Wintle, and then you'll hear some different footage from the day. I hope that we convey how joyful it was, how much fun it was, and how just inclusive and special the Mid-South Gravel really is. So without further ado, let's get on with the show. Do you ever meet those people and you just know that they're going to have an impact on your life? Today's guest is one of those people. Bobby Wintle is just a phenomenal human being. And you've probably seen all over social media this thing about the Bobby hug. Well, we get a chance to talk about that a little bit today in a kind of wide-ranging interview that we did. But let me introduce him. So Bobby Wintle is the co-owner of District Bicycles and the Mid-South, both located in Stillwater, Oklahoma. For the last 11 years, he has been building real community through the shop, and the Mid-South has now grown into one of the top 5 biggest gravel dirt road events in the world. Bobby loves cooking Brussels sprouts on cast iron and could stare at a sunset and cry for hours. He's into both long, grueling hike-a-bikes up mountains and sweet, long walks on the beach. Word on the street is that he's a pretty good hugger. Bobby believes in all humans and that they are capable of much more than they ever thought possible. He invites everyone to come to the weekend endurance festival that is the Mid-South next year, March 14th through the 17th. Let's get on with the show. Good morning, Bobby.
Good morning, Marley.
How surreal is this?
Unbelievable.
Can you tell me about where we're at right now?
So Marley has so graciously asked me to be on her incredible podcast, which I'm a huge fan of, and I'm a huge fan of you.
Aww.
And I know people tell you that all the time.
Mutual. We're going to talk about that.
I can't wait. So then we're like, oh, hey, I'm going to be in Bentonville because we talked about meeting in Tulsa or something, and we could have done this at the Mercury Lounge, which would have been really sick.
That would have been pretty sweet.
They've got some really great non-alcoholic options. Ooh. I know you're on that journey. I'm flirting with that journey, but if you were with me yesterday and last night, you would not think that. And we'll talk about it.
It's a journey. I mean, I had some beers this weekend in DC, and
sick.
It's all about moderation.
And on Payson's podcast, you talked about having the champagne, and we talked about how do we go through that process of deciding who we spray champagne on, and if that's a problem for them or if it's a trigger. And I knew that you've stopped drinking pretty much, on a regular basis. Because I'll be honest, I have a drink every day.
Yeah, I did too for a long time.
Yeah, and it is absolutely a crutch, and it's absolutely a celebration, and it's absolutely like a habitual. And there's something there, there's just something there, and it doesn't have to be. But anyway, and you said that you had that champagne, and that it was delicious. And
it really was delicious.
So sick. And now
I think part of that was because I was incredibly thirsty, and I was also just in the moment. And I've never chugged out of a champagne bottle. I will say, watching those videos, somebody literally poured a bottle on me. I know there's no training for champagne etiquette, but that's not how you do it.
Right. And I bet it was Jason from Gravel Worlds, because he did that to every all of our top finishers.
Oh my God.
And Jason does it at his race too. And oh, Jason, you crack me up, man.
He's so funny. He met me at Mount Butter, and there's like this hill going up to it, and I just see this figure running towards me, and I was like, what is happening? And then he like ran. I was actually walking that hill at that point, and he just like went with me. He was like, we can do this whatever pace you want to. But his energy, both of you guys, your energy is so infectious.
It's out of control. When we get together, it's out of sight. And we actually have a lot of things, of course, in common like that. But Jason and I also are almost completely opposite when it comes to like execution on things with our events. And so it's actually amazing because he's way more detailed in a lot of ways. He's way more organized in a lot of ways, if you can imagine. Thank God for Sally Turner and my director of operations to keep things together. And the whole team's amazing. But where are we? Okay, where are we? Sorry, I'm using my hands a lot. I talk with my hands. And are we? Is there a film of this? Are you
No,
filming
I'm not,
this?
So I can't figure out how to do it.
Oh, it's fine.
Technology's not my strong suit.
Technology is hard. Relationships are hard.
Everything's hard. We'll talk about that.
Life is beautifully hard. So we decided that we wanted to be outside because it's gorgeous outside.
Yeah.
Like what, we're in the 60s right now, maybe?
I think so, yeah.
Low 60s. And we decided, let's meet at Airship. We'll get coffee. Of course, they're not open until 9, which is fine. And we're definitely going to get a coffee soon. And now we're on top of Airship, surrounded by all of these beautiful budding trees at Kohler Mountain Preserve in Bentonville, Arkansas, USA.
It's wild. So I'm coming up on a year of living here, and I moved here in like
you made it.
I did in mid-April of last year, and so by that point the trees already had leaves, and so now being here through the winter and like you could see all the trails, and it's really wild the abundance of trails. It's hard to explain if you haven't been here.
It's out of control. I mean, I think two years ago, maybe 2.5 years ago, I was told that within a 50-mile radius of downtown Bentonville that there were over 300 miles of single track.
Oh, I believe that.
And then they were building, I think, 2 miles a week.
I think so, yeah.
Right, is what Gary Vernon's told me, and it's out of control.
Yeah.
I say that a lot. And I try not to say like, oh, it's epic or, but I use big words. I'm exaggerative. It's always the best meal I've ever had or the best movie I've ever seen or like the hardest I've ever cried.
You just like hyperbole.
I just want to experience everything to the depths of the depth. And this place, Bentonville, is Disneyland, straight up and down. I don't care what anybody thinks or what they say. This place is committed to movement.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. And every time I come, I see a family that's out, on a department store bike or whatever. And they're like, if this infrastructure didn't exist, they probably wouldn't be outside.
100%. Yeah. I saw a family the other day that you could obviously tell was like 3 generations. It was kiddos, parents, and grandparents all riding down the street. And like, and like you said, yeah, department store bikes, because it doesn't matter around here. Like, sure, if you're going to go huck it off of Drop the Hammer, you probably need skills.
Can we go get some necks and drop the hammer with them and see what happens?
Oh my God. We could put like, I don't know, who's a good mountain biker? Elliot Jackson.
Yeah. Oh yeah, sorry. We're just going to go to the top.
We're going to put Elliot Jackson on a department store bike and just see it. Actually, it'd be really fun.
We should get like 5 of them, like Payson.
Yeah.
And Elliot, and then I don't know, a bunch of others, and get them out here and be like, all right, whoever's bike lasts the longest.
You win another one.
Yeah. And a pizza from Oven and Tap.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's talk Mid-South. So you are the director of Mid-South?
I am the owner, creator.
Okay.
Crystal and I together, so co-owner, co-creator of the Mid-South, originally Land Run 100, LR 100, that we started on March 9th, 2013 was the first year. So we're rehashing. I just want to always keep things fresh. So we're kind of looking at maybe some new titles and stuff, and I won't talk about that yet. Just for ourselves, and our team is not changing. Everyone is staying on. It's unbelievable what we can do with how many people are on the team, and it's myself and Crystal, and then we split time with operations at the shop. And when I have time, I'm there to work the retail floor or build bikes or do service orders. But that has not been the case since September.
Oh, dang.
And so I've been in the office way more with Sally, which has been incredible. And then Josh McCulloch I hired. Actually, I was in Bentonville when I hired Josh without asking the team, which was a mistake. I tend to have a fully formulated plan and execute on it. And I mean, I'll be honest, like most of the time the ideas are good. There have been lots of bad ones, but I staunchly 100% have everyone's best interest at heart within the organization, whether it's district or Mid-South or my participants or my friends, but they want to feel included, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to leave them in the dust or leave them behind. So speaking of that, I was here in Bentonville in 2020, and we can talk about this. We can talk about whatever, but I was working on looking for a lease to open a bike shop.
In Bentonville?
In Bentonville in October 2020. I spent about 2 weeks here looking for property, looking for a building that would work for a bike shop that I was going to open with Kyle Kelly from Golden Saddle Cyclery and Joshua Klauk from Angry Catfish, who is also co-owner with Jeff Frayne with Wild Bikes in Minneapolis. And I mean, it's just a part of the story, right? And so I was here talking. I went into the hub at one point and met, I can't remember his name, that owns Progressive Trail Designs, and he owns the hub. I can't remember his name. Sorry, man. And of course I meet him, and I'm like, not trying to be like saying that his place isn't amazing, because it is amazing. I love it. But I was like, I'm moving here. I'm going to open the best bike shop in the world. Like, let's go. Because I believe in my friends so much.
Yeah.
Angry Catfish and Golden Saddle Cyclery, if you know, rest in peace, GSC, let's dance.
They were an LA-based shop who did all sorts of cool stuff. And I was always looking at their Instagram and like, oh, I want to do that. I want to do that.
Unbelievable. I've been there a handful of times. I worked on a Sunday there because Jimmy was there all alone. Jimmy is on the Crust team, and he's absolutely incredible. And so here's the deal. I was here. We were looking for property, and Josh McCulloch, this is where I'm headed. Sorry. I have to tell like 8 stories to tell one. Josh McCulloch gives me a call, and Josh was for 15 years the best wedding photographer, one of the best wedding photographers on the planet. Super in demand, always gone from his family, making tons of money, working for oil and gas people out of Dallas. You know, you name it, that's what was happening. So Josh calls me and he's like, Bobby, so I changed the name of the event. That was the fall after we changed the name. So
and folks can look up the history of that. We don't need to dig into that.
It's on the Rativist. The whole story, my whole story about the process, and Yatica Fields contacting me, indigenous ultra runner and mural artist who's from Stillwater originally, but now he's in Tulsa at the Artist Fellowship. Read the whole thing. It's amazing. So Josh,
it's a good example of learning and being called in and making changes.
Yep. And he called me in the sweetest way. It was just a tag, just like a picture of the truth about the land run. And then he just tagged at Land Run 100. And then Ariel Ross, her partner is Seth Wood, Dr. Seth Wood, Dr. Ariel Ross and Dr. Seth Wood had been prodding me to think about change and to think about the fact that it could be offensive, even though I had no intention of that. I was just out of ignorance named the race that, because I'm from Kansas. I have no idea. And anyway, she sent me a thing, was like, Yatica could be an ally. And so then I went to the shop, and Yatica had been to the shop, had a cell phone number, called him. The rest is history. He answered the phone right then and there. So read the story on the Rativist. So Josh had done lead photography in 2017 for Land Run. And Josh was hanging out the back of this car, which is the foreshadowing of what this is now, and what he does for us and works for us full time is crazy. And 2017, if anyone of you are familiar with what the conditions were like in 2017, it was the worst we've ever had. It was 36 degrees and raining all day long. We had a 13% finish rate, and we had over 100 people go to the hospital for mild hypothermia. We had a woman get lost for 4 hours, and we thought she was going to die because she couldn't tell us where she was. It was the scariest time frame of my life.
I would say, as an event director, that sounds like just absolute terror.
We had our hands on it. We had timing strips in different places. We knew how many had come in. We knew how many were out. We had control. We had the Jeep Club out there. They were having a riot. Some of them had their tops off and just got mud in the Jeeps. And everyone was so cold in the Jeeps because if they had the top off, because it was freezing outside, but the Jeep guys were like
loving it.
Yeah, had adrenaline going. And so anyway, Josh does photography, and he ends up making it completely black and white. Every photo we got from him was black and white, and it was the best shots I've ever seen. And so anyway, do the name change. Josh has been going through this as a white man landowner in Arcadia, Oklahoma, and this whole land back conversation, everything going on in 2020, right? 2020 was like, when I talk about it, heavy. You talk about heavy, that was the heaviest year of my entire existence. And for all of us too. George Floyd, pandemic,
So much.
all the things. So Josh calls me. I'm at Bentonville. I'm in Bentonville. I'm at the Meteor. I'm having breakfast, and I'm about to go check out some stuff. And like, I told no one that I was coming to town, except for my real estate agent who like has a bike but isn't really connected, and a local guy. And so I'm getting myself together. I'm doing some emails, social media, and then Josh calls me and he says, "Hey man, you've started a conversation about the land, and I'm interested. I'm wondering if you would have somewhere in the budget for the race to make a physical piece, a book." And that's what became the Course Atlas.
Yes.
And he was like, we need a piece that is Indigenous perspective, Indigenous led, Indigenous designed, created, and then we'll facilitate it. And then we need to find like a way to fund it to give to every participant. And and we didn't have all of those details in that conversation. And he was like, that way we can, and also his idea was like, the book is something that you have to just sit with.
Yeah.
You can't like it. You can't double tap on it. You can't zoom in on it. You can't share it.
It's the physical book that you're holding and feeling.
You can't comment on it. You can't say shitty things. You can't be an asshole. You can't say nice things. You can't pump it up, or you just have to sit with it. And that's that I'd never thought about that since social media has been existed. That now physical books, I hope, are going to continue in their wild popularity and hopefully continue on, and bookstores hopefully more will come. Two Friends Books, shout out Slayton. Ew. Rachel's amazing. That place is amazing. Go there, Bentonville, 8th Street Market. Sponsored by. Anyway.
Not sponsored.
Just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm sponsored by. That's.
Are you?
No.
He just walks in and takes what. That'd be such a cool sponsor.
Yeah, I know, a bookstore.
Oh my God.
I'm not personally sponsored by anyone, which is wild. But which I don't even know why I said that. But the race is obviously the races. That's why.
But we're gonna talk about that kind of like the stardom of Bobby Wintle versus Mid-South versus your team, and like because I have a similar conundrum with All Bodies on Bikes.
I want to know.
So we're gonna talk about that next.
So then Josh pitches this idea about the Course Atlas that we came up with the name later, and right then and there, I was like, he's like, Bobby, I would love to do this project with you, and I was like, can I hire you? And I just, next thing out of my mouth, I'm like, can I hire you? Because I mean, I see how incredibly talented he is. We'd already worked together a little bit. His photography was crazy. He'd started this Instagram called The Grid Line that was talking about the land and ownership and stewardship and reverence and everything. And so he's like, Bobby, I cannot believe that you said this. I am right now in the beginning stages of shutting off my 15-year freelance photography wedding business right now. And I only have a few more weddings lined up, but I want to be with my family and everything else. So I hired him, and Josh was on the team that within the month, and then started working on this project. And
now he's like your lead media person.
Oh yeah, he's director of media.
Yeah, and you guys just put out an amazing YouTube video. We'll put a link to that kind of
thank you.
Shows you the vibes of Mid-South. It's hard to explain if you're not there.
Yeah. I agree.
Every gravel race has a different vibe and a different feeling. But the Mid-South is really, truly something special. So let's actually get into that a little bit about well, you mentioned earlier that you tend to make like unilateral decisions.
Yes.
Or like you make a decision, you're like, oh crap, I got to talk to my team. I do the same thing. All Bodies on Bikes was originally Kaylee and I's little baby project.
Yeah.
And now we're turning into a nonprofit. I brought on this board. It's very exciting, but it's also like, I realize I have to change the way that I do business.
100%.
I have to talk to people first. I can't just say, yeah, let's partner, or yeah, that's a great idea. Well, I can say, yeah, that's a great idea. But I'm curious, like how you balance, because you have become kind of a star in your own right.
Wild, man.
Everybody talks about the Bobby Wintle hug. How do you balance like not making Mid-South the Bobby Wintle show?
Yeah.
And also like relishing the fact that you are a big part of the reason people come.
I think we have to play to our strengths, and you need to do the same thing, which you already are. But I think what you have to do is you have to define roles. And if you define, so I thought of this week, man, I'm so glad you're asking me about this because no one asked me about this. So thank you for having great questions.
You're welcome.
I told them, I didn't tell them. We had Sally, Josh, Crystal, and I actually had a 3-hour vision meeting yesterday that we've never, ever done after the race or the event this close to the event. And we were just like, we have all these other ideas. Fast Richard is coming up in September. It's going to be our fall event. It's not a race. Fast Richard is a music festival at Stone Cloud Brewing, 2 blocks south of where the start finish line for Mid-South is. We'll have all the details soon. Tons of bands. Don't know exactly the time frame yet. 2 stages, overlapping time schedules, set times, so you can catch the band in the front, catch the band in the back. Jesse Tabish from Other Lives. When we moved to town, Other Lives was on tour with Bon Iver. So Jesse is incredible, and you should all come. I'm working on details for a few other bands that you might know. And so that being said, we needed this vision meeting, and the vision meeting we needed because we need a plan, right? And we have all of these things happening, all these activations, the sponsorship conversations, the execution of the actual event, where the water goes. Do we have water access here? Do we have electricity, insurance, permitting, able license, because we have people selling alcohol. Sally's booking people for the food trucks a year in advance now. Because we want the best food trucks possible. And then she's doing the expo, and Josh is building a media team that's out of control. That's beautiful. And then I'm working on partnerships, right, with most of the sponsors. And I'm also trying to keep a relational connection to our customer base.
Yeah.
To our participants.
To the racers.
So we started for the very first time using an organizational tool and like a one that we can sign into on our phone or get into on the computer. And we can we can plan out the entire year. And we started yesterday. So
congratulations.
And Josh and Sally brought this to the table. I mean, this is not me. Like, it's not this. Sally says it, everyone comes because of you, and the reason why is because I truly believe in people.
And that comes through. Like,
I believe it. It's
so genuine.
None of this was built for the sake of commerce. I've said that at the start line of Mid-South or at the writers meeting 100%. That's 100% true. I don't care about money at all. You need something, I'll give it to you. We're at dinner, I promise you I'm going to try and buy it. Like, and not because I'm rich, because I'm definitely not, and not because I'm, trying to flaunt something or like be above you or like hold something above a person. It's just because I love people.
Yeah.
I love people deeply. And so that's what people are attracted to, because when you when you create a safe space for people to be themselves, and you step back from expectation of telling people that they need to look a certain way, sound a certain way, be a certain way,
dress a certain way,
finish a race in a certain amount of time, close down the finish line at a certain time. Why are we doing that, gravel community? Stop it. DFL, we had 400 plus people for Marley. It couldn't have been a more perfect story. We'll get there. And so that's it, right? So the team, I told the team this. I said, I've seen each and every one of you in your best moment and worst moments, right? And we've seen each other in those best and worst moments. So I've seen you where you feel supported and where you feel like you're in your lane and doing your best work. And I've seen you just like in your vibrancy, and it's beautiful. And I said, how do we hold on to that for longer? And how do we define roles for each person in the organization? I'm calling it an organization now.
I mean, that makes sense.
We're not an event promotions company. The Mid-South is now a communications firm or a communications company. And we are communicating that people are worthy. And we are communicating that people are beautiful.
Yeah.
And no matter who you are, what you look like, where you're from, who your mom is, all of it. And we're communicating through media also that you should come. And I have my career and professional bachelor's degree in communication theory from Emporia State University, and Sally has her journalism degree from Oklahoma State University. Crystal has her biology degree from OSU in pre-med, and then Josh has his theology degree, and he was going to be a pastor. And he's one of the most talented photographers and now videographers that I've ever had the pleasure of being around. And he's also incredibly attractive.
It's true, actually. Your whole team is pretty dang attractive.
I mean, I agree.
You're good. If there was a beauty contest,
in gravel, I just kidding. Can we do a runway? Hey, Unbound.
Oh my God.
Hey, Unbound. Let's do an actual like fashion show, like a real one. Let's build a catwalk. Let's get real photographers. Let's get a mag. Let's get Vogue. Let's go. The answer is yes. What's the question?
I've talked about Bike MS before, and we're going to get back to Mid-South, but they actually had like a Jersey fashion show.
Yes.
Because teams put so much pride into creating their jerseys.
Yeah, man. This is a reflection of what we think we want to look like.
Yeah. I think that could be actually really fun to have folks like, because a lot of people will make custom jerseys for like their group of friends that's coming out or their company or whatever. This could be really fun.
Michelle Duffy, tell me no. Say less. Let's go. Christy Moan, you already know what's going on. Let's go. Chemo Seymour, I'm calling you out. I'll see you at Sea Otter, baby. We're going to plan this thing.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I had a question for you about that, and now it totally slipped my mind because my brain is thinking fashion show.
No, I know. Great. We need makeup artists. We need all it.
Yeah. Let's talk about the actual event itself. So you've got so it's both a run and a ride,
yep.
And you don't call it a race; you call it an event.
Yeah. A weekend endurance festival.
A weekend, both for spectators and for riders, runners alike,
and also for the people running the event. It's an endurance feat for all of us.
I just want to talk about the inspiration ride. Actually, is what I want to talk about. So it's a 12-mile ride. What was the inspiration behind that? Why did you start doing that? Because I don't know of many events that have that short of a distance to bring the local community in.
That was a really hard decision to make. It was like, what is the right distance? Because the logical easy path is the 25, 50, 100. And I'm not knocking that there's value there too. And Crystal and a few women a long time ago started the Red Dirt Divas, a ladies group, and now it's called SGG Femmes. It's Stillwater Gravel Grinders Femmes. It's a private page on Facebook, and they do Sunday afternoon rides to Inspiration Point that they named the hill Inspiration Point, where we rode to on the denim ride with Ripton and Salsa.
Okay.
So my buddy Kelly that owns Aspen Coffee, he owns the land right there, and he saw the video and was like, "Oh man, why didn't I open up the pasture for you guys?" I was like, "Dude, it's fine. There's too many things going on." So Inspiration Point, and the reason they call it that is because no matter what time of year it is, it's high enough, and it is southeast of town, and you look back and you can see all of town, Boone Pickens Stadium, where the Pokes play football, and people eat hot dogs and drink tons of light beer, and then you can see campus, and it's inspiring, and it's hard for a beginner to get up that hill without walking. So it's Inspiration Point. So we talked about the distances, we talked about what to do, and then we were like, well, let's just do this 12-mile route that the SGG Femmes do, the Red Dirt Divas do all every Sunday, and we were talking, we're like, we'll call it the 12-mile, and I was like, no, let's call it the Inspiration Ride, or maybe Sally said, I don't want to take credit when it's not mine, and I do that too often, and it's one of my biggest flaws. So anyway, and I don't mean to, I think I just forget whose idea it was, but then I just communicate so clearly and concretely that I'm like, this is in the world now.
I do the same thing. And
people are like, that was my idea. I'm like, I didn't say it was mine. I'm just saying now this exists and everyone needs to know about it. And I'm the one I'm the loudspeaker of hopefully radness. People think that I'm involved in Truffle Shuffle with Claire, Panicia, and Sally, and I'm not. I just want everyone to know that Truffle Shuffle is the shit.
Truffle Shuffle is the shit. Truffle Shuffle, for those who have not been before, is a very silly, I don't know how you would describe it.
It's an irreverent dirt crit.
Yeah.
It's the opposite of it's not quite the anti-race, but it's a 1.5 mile loop at Inspiration Point. We love this place. Kelly opens it up for us. This Land Barbecue comes. Anthony and Alexis Croft and make barbecue. Claire includes the barbecue in everybody's registration. Trevor Stewart, our logistics mastermind of Mid-South, who owns Oklahoma Freewheel. Oklahoma Freewheel is the cross-state ride like Ragbri in Iowa, but it's in Oklahoma, and it's amazing. It's in June. Everyone, you should go to nodroptours.com if you have a week in June. I'm forgetting the dates right now, but you should go check it out.
We'll include a link to it.
Yeah, and you can sign up. They have gravel. They were the first cross-state paved tour to include a gravel route for the whole week, and they have the pavement too. And here's the thing about Oklahoma that no one understands. It is one of, and this is like definitively, this is fact, one of the most diverse states in the country.
I mean, I can attest to that even just from riding there. So last year I did the 50, and I was blown away by the red dirt, the hills, the stream crossings, what's it called, like cross timber pines, or
I forget. Yes,
but
no, it's the I'm going to forget.
Anyway, just absolutely stunning landscapes. And then this year on the 100, even more so, because I guess we got out, well, obviously got out a little more remote.
Yeah, baby.
I'm not going to lie. I literally felt like you were taking me in circles because there were so many like,
I was.
Turn. And I was like, what direction am I even going right now?
If you look at the 100 mile on Ride with GPS and just look at the map, like all the way zoomed out, and you see the whole thing in the frame, it looks like Bugs Bunny with his ear down. And I did not do that on purpose. I just took the best of the best that we've learned for the last 10 years since the last time we went to Perry. Perry, Oklahoma was the halfway in 2015 and 16.
Okay.
This is the first time we've ever repeated a town.
It was beautiful, and the support in that town was great. It's funny because when I got to Perry, actually, let's talk about my actual race day and how DFL shook out. If you're okay with that, kind of switching gears.
Did I answer all your questions about the inspiration ride?
I think so.
So,
how many people did you have doing it?
Yeah, so year one we had 60 last year, and then this year it was like 100, and it's just growing.
That's so awesome.
And everyone wants me to do it the day before so they can do that with their family and then do the 50 or the 100. And so it's hard, right? Logistically, it's hard. The finish line in the 50K. There's just a lot of, it's spring break. All the people that can't do Friday can do Saturday. And then the 50K ultra marathon is on Friday, and the double. So we have a double. You can run 31 miles on Friday and then ride the 100 mile on Saturday. And when we started that in 2017, that was an idea from Jack Christian. Jack Christian is from Elk City, Oklahoma. And at the time, he was the only Oklahoman who had finished the Leadville 100 foot race in under 25 hours.
Wow.
And he's finished Western States, which is the most prestigious 100 mile in the country, multiple times. Jack has finished Unbound when it was DK 5 times. He has the Grail. Jack is a legend.
I love the connection with the trail running community because I think there could be a lot more overlap. I've heard really good things about the trail running community staying out to the very last runner.
Oh yeah.
And there's some like larger bodied trail runners, Myrna Valerio,
yes.
Who have done amazing things. And so I love that connection there and kind of showing folks that like sport is universal.
They brought it to our attention. Our running community was like, hey, we're doing trail runs at McMurtry. We're doing these things. We're doing this pumpkin holler thing. We're doing rabbit ears run and Steamboat, like Run Rabbit Run. We're doing these things, right? And we want to be a part of what you're doing because it's incredible. So 2016 was the first 50K, and it was on Saturday. So the runners and the riders were all together. And in 2017, I had the 50K on Saturday still with the bike riders, and then I had the double 50K on Friday, but we like separated them. And so a lot of times people wonder if they're competing against the 50K runners and also the 100 miler open 100 mile categories when they're doing the double, but they're not.
They're in their own category.
It's their own event. So when they cross the finish line at the 50K, even if they're first, they don't get the podium for the 50K because that's not how I decided I wanted to do the organization, like the organizational structure of the podium.
I love that.
Right? I do too. It separates it.
It gives more folks the opportunity to be on the podium.
Exactly.
And honestly, so I'd never been on a podium until last year. I think I've told the story a couple times. Never intended to. And then I went to a cross race and there were 3 of us. And so basically in my category, if I finished, I'd be on the podium. But I had this like competitive streak that came out that I didn't know existed in me. And I was like, I'm going to get second place. Like I knew I probably wasn't going to get first. But there is something special about being on the podium.
Wow.
A year ago, I never would have said that.
There is. And, because effort should be celebrated.
Yeah. Which, let's get back to DFL.
Let's go. One last thing about the inspiration ride. The reason that 12 mile works and makes sense, even though it's very short and people are like, am I paying this money to do this? But we have aid station and we have support and it's so much fun. And there's so many kids doing it now. My son, Elliot, did it this year for the first time.
Oh my gosh.
It's amazing. And so 12 miles to me is very simple and easy. I've been riding for a long time now, but 12 miles to someone else might be like 100 miles to someone else. And we don't get to decide the reality for someone else. And so the 12 mile could feel impossible. So it is the inspiration ride. That's all I want to say.
Absolutely love that. And it goes so well with what we're trying to do with All Bodies on Bikes is celebrate every ride. I remember my first 10-mile ride. I thought I was like the queen of the world.
Yes.
And I was. And if you do that 12-mile ride, like you should be proud of that. Like they're all good rides.
Every effort deserves celebration. I'm not talking about the podium. I'm not talking about the pros. I'm not talking about, I'm talking about everybody top to bottom in between. Yeah. And honestly, sometimes you just need to celebrate that you woke up and brushed your hair and brushed your teeth.
Yes.
You know, because sometimes that's hard.
Yeah.
So 12 miles is hard sometimes.
Being a human right now is hard.
Being human is always hard, I think, and has always been hard, and we always make it harder on ourselves because we're terrible sometimes. This first year, this woman did the inspiration ride. She crossed the finish line. Last year, the weather was beautiful on Saturday. By the time they came in, it was cold in the morning, but then it got way better. And so this is 2022, Mid-South, and she just full on breakdown. I did not expect this from the inspiration ride. And she just said, "You don't understand. I had cancer 12 months ago, and I thought I was dying.
Wow.
And I never thought I would ever be able to ride a bike again. And I just did that. I did that. I did that." And she started screaming, "I did that. I did that." And I was just like, I'm crying, and it's like 10 o'clock in the morning. Like, we just got started. Like, this is going to be a long one. And also, what people may not understand or remember about last year is that COVID was still happening. We had restrictions. We had a vax mandate. We checked things. We blah blah blah. So, and I wasn't going to hug everyone. And then the morning of, we had the whole setup, and I really, really did a number on my team. And this was a mistake in the way that I did it, because I did not know how I was going to feel once I got into the finish line chute.
Sure.
And when I got in there, I looked at Trevor, and he was setting things up for like a name announcement and all these things to be in a certain place in a certain way based on me not hugging people.
Oh my gosh.
And I did not think that through. And he'd also been up since 4 a.m, putting up the stage and everything. So anyway, Trevor and I have gotten through this, and I apologize to Trevor and Brett and Rob and the whole team, Sally, everyone. I'm so sorry, because once I got down in the finish line chute, and the COVID numbers were super low that weekend, the lowest they'd been since it started, I just said, I think I'm going to be here, and I think I'm going to hug everyone. And so when I hugged everyone again last year for the first time, that wasn't supposed to happen.
And now it's become, it's a thing.
And it was a thing since year one. I've hugged every finisher except for 2020 or if you pass me and I can't catch you and it gets chaotic. One time I chased a lady almost 2 blocks because she was so pissed at me, and she walked maybe 12 miles in the mud, whatever year that was, and she was super pissed. And she blew past and went down to Maine and took a left and was going towards her hotel, and I was like, I'm going to go get her. And I ran down there and I got her at the stoplight. And she was just wrecked, mud everywhere, just crazy. I don't know if it was 16. I think it was 16. It was before the really cold year, because it wasn't cold. And 15 and 16 were wet but not cold. And I was like, "Hey," and she looked at me and she was like, "I cannot believe you fucking put us through that shit." And I was like, "You're welcome." And I was like, "I'm gonna give you a hug now." And she was like, did not want it, and not like in a way of like I was violating her or anything like that. And she was just upset about how hard the ride was. But I was like, "You did that. You finished." And I gave her a hug, and her whole body just
relaxed. Yeah.
And I don't remember her name, and I don't know if she's been back, but you know what? That's a moment I'll never forget, because at that time I had not missed anyone, like not at all. And now people see me places and they're like, "I didn't get my Bobby hug," and I'm like, "Well, next time you need to stop."
Yeah, I mean, let's be real. You're a human. You have to eat. You have to use the bathroom. You have to drink water. And so, like, you're already extending yourself so much. And I don't think you think of it that way, but like, for any other person,
I have it to give.
That would be
I will give it freely.
Big ask to be out there for 12, 14 hours to hug people.
2 days in a row.
Yeah. And
while also hosting the hugest thing in my whole life. That's a terrible word to use. Sorry. The biggest thing in my whole life.
I love that.
The hugest is huging.
Okay. So back to DFL.
Yeah. Sorry.
So I want to know what it was like on you guys' side. Because I got to the Chamois Butter mile 62, and I hadn't seen Jeeps all day. So I was like, okay, the Jeeps aren't right behind me. I'm definitely not in last. And then I saw the Jeeps.
Yo.
But there were still 2 people behind me. So we were at the Chamois Butter tent, or at the Chamois Butter Oasis. And one of them decided to drop out. Her body just like wasn't feeling it. And so me and her riding partner, were like, "Okay, we got this." And I could just see in his eyes, he was done.
This was Raphael from Minneapolis, right?
No, he had already dropped from there.
Okay. Because I heard you talking about him, and he's amazing, by the way.
I think it was like Chandler or Carter. I feel bad. Chance, maybe.
That's okay.
So let's see. Anyway, he's a local, and we were ping ponging back and forth, and the Jeeps were right behind us, and he was like, "I'm so pissed at these Jeeps. I just feel like they're revving their engines behind me every time I try and climb." And I was like, "No, that's just how the Jeeps sound when we're going 3 miles an hour up a hill. Like, they've got to get their Jeep up the hill. Anyway, he was struggling a little bit, and he was like, Marley, I'm going to quit. I was like, no, like, we're so close. Like, we can do this together. You know, you can have DFL. I don't need the recognition.
Right. That's super sweet of you.
But he didn't want it.
And you were at mile what? I forgot.
It's like 75. Yeah. And I was like, I've got extra food. I've got water. I've got edibles. What do you need?
I want to go on a bike ride with you right now.
Okay. I probably have some on me.
Yeah. We did ride our bikes here.
It's true.
I rode single track in my new Nike tinny runners. My dad calls them tennis shoes. Without my clip-ins, I left them in the car, and I just like rode all the wild downhill stuff from the parking lot down.
Yes.
It's so sick. So, okay.
Anyway,
so let's keep going.
So there were mile 77, you know, we had enjoyed this beautiful sunset together. I had taken a bunch of selfies with some cows. I was having the best day.
The Jeeps actually mentioned you taking selfies, and they were like, she just keeps stopping and taking pictures of herself. And then we were like, that is her job. And that is exactly what Marley should be doing, and I would be doing the exact same thing because, y'all, we need content for the consumption.
Exactly. And the thing is like, I wasn't stopping to take pictures.
No, I know.
I was stopping to like stretch because like my back was like cramping or like.
Of course, they exaggerated it because you took like 2 pictures of yourself.
Also,
which is always what's
like,
going to happen.
I don't think they're used to following fast people, and so for somebody to be going my speed,
no, they're not. They're not. They're used to what they did with
at the
you.
back.
Yeah.
Actually, they kept saying, you're going so fast. You keep the speed up, you're going to be 2 hours ahead of the last DFL.
Yep.
And like that wasn't even on my mind. So anyway, the Jeeps were with me from like mile 68 to the end. And I really had to pee at like mile 70 something. Yes. And I was like, what am I going to do? And if I would have said like, hey, I need to pull off. But I was just like, no, I'm going to keep going. You know, it'll be fine.
Oh, I hate that feeling. I hate that feeling. And this is a thing that guys can do, or humans that have you know, their appendage that they pee out of. And you know, I figured out how to pee while riding, because when I go do big rides and I'm not ready for them, I start drinking water like crazy just to keep myself going, and then my body reacts like why, and I have to pee it like a racehorse over and over and over and over and over and over and over. And I'm not going fast like a racehorse. I'm going very slow because normally I'm not prepared to go do these big, long, stupid things. So then I just figured it out. If you get this long, is this okay?
Yeah.
Okay, sick. I've taught people at Unbound camp, at the XL camp.
How to pee on the bike.
Yeah. And one of their wives were there, Courtney, and my buddy Alan from Albuquerque. And Courtney, hi guys, I love you. You're amazing. I taught him how to do this while Courtney was in the room, and now Courtney like mentions it every time that we talk or FaceTime. It's hilarious. So anyway, you go down, you find a gradual downhill. Depending on which direction the wind is going is which side I put my foot down on, because you know, you gotta be careful. And you put your foot all the way down, like bottom of your pedal stroke, and you just take your bibs and you rip them down, and then you just let it fly. But you have to be able to coast and go downhill, and you can't have too much of a headwind because you'll piss all over yourself. And I have pissed all over my handlebars, all over my water bottle, all over my shoes, all over my bike on accident. But it's such a game changer. And I wish that women that, you
people
know,
with vulvas
there we go.
Yeah.
People with vulvas. That's a beautiful way to say that. And but anyway, give it a shot. Be careful. You could fall with your dick out, and it would hurt really bad if you fell on it. Because it happened to my friend Trey up in Wichita, because he had new pedals and he wasn't familiar with them, and he was peeing off the bike, because a lot of guys do this. And his foot came out of the pedal, and then he just ate shit, and then just raw dogged his dick all over the gravel road.
Oh my God. All right, listeners.
And I mean, that's just the truth. And it's not sexual.
It's just a body part.
It's just your body part that's incredibly sensitive.
Yeah.
And Trey told me that. Trey, I'm sorry if I should have told that story, but homie, thank you for telling me that.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm just like imagining this. I've had many peeing related incidents on the bike.
I think everybody that's done something longer than 15, 20 miles.
It's a fact of life. When you're out there for 14 hours, you're going to need to use the bathroom. You're going to need to eat meals. You're going to like,
if you want to do another one sometime and do a bike packing one with like Seth and I both, we could talk to you about our pooping experices. So
we could have a whole episode
all along the Continental Divide.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I figured out that I was DFL at mile
62.
60. Well, like
Whatever it was.
65 or
Okay,
something.
67. Yeah.
And then at mile 77, it was confirmed because the other guy dropped out. So I was just like alone with my thoughts and like.
What was that moment like after you gave up on trying to convince him to keep going? Where'd your mind go?
To the finish line. I knew you guys were going to be there.
How does that feel?
Overwhelming, to be honest, but also really exciting.
Like expectation, but also like anticipation.
Yeah, exactly. But I also knew that I still had, what is that, 77 plus what, 23?
Yeah, it was 100.9 miles.
So I still had time to enjoy the ride and to get myself prepared mentally for what was about to happen. And I think the most beautiful part of the ride for me was the single track.
Right?
Because, I mean, the Jeeps were a great companion. And honestly, like, so I had brought lights with
Maybe
me.
we need to address that. And I do address it with them.
No, I have absolutely zero complaints with them.
Yeah,
We need to address
I just want to make sure that everyone feels like they're having their own experience.
Oh,
so
100%.
Okay.
So they stayed behind me. And then, like, when I would stop, the lead Jeep would pull up to me and be like, hey, just making sure you're not quitting. Because I think they want to, like, radio in and go catch the next DFL if they have to.
Yep, exactly.
Like,
yep, because we make it a production.
Exactly.
And so it's a hard thing for them to
totally
manage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were phenomenal. And
they're the best. We could
Yeah.
talk about them for hours.
and I would like to chat with
Yeah.
them more. But
You need to have one of them on the pod.
definitely talk about why they do it. Because most of them don't
Leah.
even ride bikes, they told me.
Leah Storm and Corey and Chris Indy is the lead guy, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
They're amazing.
I had lights on my bike, but they weren't very bright. And he said, hey, is it cool if I turn my lights on to help you see? And I was like, yes, 100%. And so there was the lights were behind me. I had a really good cadence going. My brain was in all sorts of crazy places. And I was just like, this is the greatest day of my life.
Get out of my face.
Bobby just gave me a giant high five. I just felt really, really alive. And I've been dealing with a lot of like kind of emotional flatlining lately where I haven't been feeling anything. And so I think having that 20 miles, which for me is about 2.5 hours, to prepare mentally and to really sit in the moment and to get ready for all the appreciation that was about to be showered on me. Because I have a really hard time with being in the moment, appreciating praise and celebration. And so being able to take that time for myself in the single track, turn my lights off, look at the stars, kind of ground myself of like where I was at. And then coming out of the single track, there was like this just crazy cheer from the Jeeps because they saw my little light coming through the woods.
No, I've not heard about this.
Yeah. So
I just got the chills.
They saw my light coming through the woods and there's, 30 Jeeps sitting there waiting for me. And there was honking and cowbells and like this huge cheer. I have chills thinking about it. And so after that, it was just a straight shot into town. I was not expecting the police car to meet me and turn on its siren and its lights.
We didn't set that up either. Chris did that on his own.
I was just like,
Chris Howell.
What is happening?
In the truck, right? The white truck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
And then, we went up that little rise into town and there were a bunch of photographers there and I got this burst of energy and they were running and I was like, do you guys want to race? So I raced the photographers on foot in and then came into just the best reception. And I remember Crystal had asked me at the midway point, or maybe at Shea Butter, when it became evident that I was going to be DFL, what song are you jamming out to right now? And I was like, they're going to have it on. And so I had Tegan and Sarah put out a new album this year.
Yes.
And then they have a song called I Can't Grow Up. And it's just been really resonating with me about why do I need to grow up? I don't.
No, never grow up. Never grow up. What does that even mean?
I don't know.
What do you mean? What do we need to? Why do we need?
I think we have this perception of what a grown up is supposed to do, get married, have kids, be responsible, own a home.
Yeah,
I haven't done any of that.
Right, and you're supposed to be a man or a woman only. And you're supposed to get married, and you're supposed to go to college and have a job.
These expectations
and do these things this way, and it's you know what? Fuck that shit.
Yeah, and I've been thinking about it a lot with my therapist about all of this stuff, and I had this realization the other day that I had really hard years as a teenager, very depressed, suicidal, but I was very high performing and valedictorian. But you could
compartmentalize.
Yeah, I never imagined what my life was going to look like as an adult because I didn't think I was going to make it. So yeah, I'm about to cry because I don't talk about this much. So all of these achievements that I've had are just okay, this is cool. I never planned for it. I never hoped for it. I never dreamed for it. So thank you for creating this space where I can celebrate the fact that I did this ride. And I don't know. It was just a really special day.
You're welcome. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for making the decision, as everyone knows, to switch from the 50 to the 100.
Yeah. Well, I remember you were back here like maybe January, last year, and we went to dinner, and I was telling you about my thought to do it, and you were like, you could do it.
It was August, right? Or whatever. No, I don't know. I don't know either.
But you and I had a deep conversation about it. And then Cheese, Matt Hopkins.
Oh, God, I love you, Cheese.
I had met him last year. He's going to be so embarrassed for talking about it.
Good, I know. Good, I know. Alley Cat, if you're in Tulsa, y'all, don't sleep on Alley Cat Ranch Barbecue. It is, I went first time. Nick is the pit master. Cheese, Matt, call him Matt. We get to call him Cheese, not you. And only if you know him do you get to call him Cheese. I think, and he's I think basically like assistant manager or whatever. I mean, he's just in the truck.
Yeah,
they're building out this huge old gas station space with hundreds of seats, and but in
basically like an adult playground.
Yeah, but in the meantime, they're doing everything out of a truck.
Yeah,
out of a food truck that's permanent in that spot, and then a little like dining area out front, and it's dialed. Watershed Group out of Tulsa has Kilkenny's, has Hemingway's, has Nola's. If you want to get brunch at Nola's on Sunday, good luck. It's like a 2.5 hour wait.
Dang, in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
It's out of control.
Don't sleep on Tulsa, y'all.
No. We don't have time to talk about what it's like to be on Tulsa time. Just living in that Tulsa heat. Like, oh man, anyway, I love Tulsa.
Okay, back to Matt and why we brought him up.
Yeah.
He was DFL a couple years ago. I don't remember exactly what year. But he
was DFL 2017 in the 36 degrees and rain.
The absolutely wild year.
And was riding with Jared Bunk from Hope Cyclery in Pennsylvania, and Jared fell and cracked his warbird because he was trying to ride through, and he broke his derailleur, broke his hanger, and cracked his frame.
Yeah. So
and Jared's shoe, the front part of Jared's shoe had gotten destroyed from walking in the mud. His toes were exposed in his socks.
Oh my god!
And it was 36 degrees and raining, y'all. And Jared was like, "I'm finishing no matter what." But then he broke his bike, and that was it. I mean, he would have to walk. So him and Cheese were together, and then they were just like,
"What do we do?"
No.
Yeah.
And Cheese was like, "Well, keep going."
Yeah. And so anyway, his advice to me, because we dated for a hot second.
Yeah, hot. Emphasis on hot.
Emphasis on hot. It was a good time. I just really hope that I'm embarrassing the crap out of him right now. Anyway,
I'm hopefully going to see him tonight. So.
Oh my god, give him a big hug for
me.
I
promise. I'll probably give him a big kiss for you too.
I can tell you how he likes it.
I know.
Oh my god. Okay, we need to stop. This is way too early. Anyway, gosh. Okay.
We went from crying to now I'm cackling in a way that not many people maybe have heard me cackle. So you're welcome, All Bodies on Bikes world.
Anyway, he told me that, even if I need to walk the hills, just keep walking and eating.
Just keep moving forward.
Yeah. And I like, in those dark moments, that's what I was thinking about, was like, Matt can do this. I can do this. Bobby believes in me. Everybody believes in me. I'm going to do this dang thing. And honestly, I don't want to say it wasn't that hard, but all things considered, course conditions were perfect.
Yeah. Weather
was perfect. I mean, I finished in short sleeves and a vest, and I was fine.
Yeah.
At 10:30 at night. And I think everybody's like, "Whoa, you were out there for so long." And I've said this, I was planning to be out there for that long. So I had food, I had water, I was prepared.
You were prepared.
Like,
prepare for the worst, hope for the best, and you got both.
Prepare for a day.
Right.
It wasn't even the worst. Like
right.
That's so. Right. Everybody's like, "Oh my god!" Like, no, that's normal. For me.
Oh man, that's sick.
Yeah, I don't know, but apparently it was the fastest DFL.
Yeah. You have the you have the FKT DFL.
Okay, challenge for next year. But the thing is you can't plan to be a DFL. Like you just got to ride your ride and see what happens.
That's the most beautiful part about it, is that like no one's ever manipulated it.
No.
Right. And people joke about it because of the skull and the Longhorn skull that we get
and the party
and
it's quite the honor.
We've always believed in celebrating everyone top to bottom, and then we kind of realized one year, I don't remember when, we realized like, oh, like we could really blow this up, and like we don't give the winners anything but a medal trophy.
Yeah.
And we could really go for it. And whose idea was it? It was Banjo Brothers. Yes, okay. That's right. And it's been since year one. That's right. I was at Frostbike. Yes. Thank you for helping me remember this.
You're welcome.
I was at Frostbike in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and Crystal wasn't there. I was there alone. And it was our very first Frostbike because we had opened the shop in 2011 in October. 2012, we didn't know about Frostbike. We weren't really connected to QBP and salsa. And then by the time we became a salsa dealer, I started selling fat bikes. We were like the biggest fat bike dealer in the southern hemisphere of the United States.
I'm still listening. I just need to tell somebody that I'm going to be a couple months late to the next meeting.
Okay, cool. I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry. This is
I'm
amazing.
sorry, not sorry. And I'm walking around Frostbike, which is on the like not the production, but the warehouse floor of Quality Bicycle Products that owns Salsa Cycles, owns Surly, owns All City, 45 North, and others. And I'm walking around talking to everybody about the fact that I've got a brand new event called Land Run 100 that's on March 9th, 2013, and I would love it if any of them came. And so then I'm talking to Banjo Brothers, and they're like, yo, we'd like to be a sponsor, and we're going to give you one of our Banjo Brothers backpacks, but you have to give it to DFL. And I'm like,
yes.
And I'm like, and so again, unbelievable idea that was not mine or even our team's. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, Banjo Brothers, thank you guys so much. And I know we're not connected right now with everything with the race or anything like that, or even kind of carrying stuff for the shop that often. We do bring in your panniers and we love them. But I will say this, you are the reason why there's some beautiful cardinals and a bird that I have no idea what it is prancing around on top of Airship in Kohler. And that is why this place is also magic.
Just special.
All the trees are they're budding out and they're about to fly. But anyway, Banjo Brothers is the reason for the creation of the structure of DFL. And then in 2020, Peter Stetna and
Big Tall Wayne.
Yeah. And they were like, we're coming back. We're going to be there. We're going to be there.
I felt bad. I missed them I saw them and I missed giving them a hug. And I was like, I really wanted to say thank you for them being there.
There were like 400 people there. I couldn't find Trevor. I needed the microphone. I was like, where's Trevor? Where's Trevor? And they were like, he's over there. And I go over there and I was like, he's out here. Where's Trevor? And I couldn't find him. All right. So here's the vibes while we were waiting for you. And when we found out it was you, when they radioed in and told us it was Marley Blonsky in last place, DFL, and that it was happening and that you were in great spirits and everything was good and you were going to be there sooner than anyone.
What time was that at about?
I can't remember.
Okay.
Sun was down, I think. I bought a disco ball.
Yes.
10 days before the race, maybe less, paid expedited shipping to get it here so we could figure out how to mount the motor. And we were like, we're not putting it up all day. We're going to wait till the sun goes down. And Trevor's like, I got it. I'll put it up. We'll figure out the chain and the timing clock. And he figured the whole thing out. So the timing clock is stay in the middle. Disco ball dropped, about a 20-inch one, like huge.
It was a big disco ball.
It was not cheap. Sweetwater. Thank you for getting it to me so quick. And, we put it up, and then I find out it's you. And I mean, you know me. I'm so emotional the whole day. Anyway, there were times this year where I started crying when Bell and the Vertigo Waves from Kansas City were playing on the stage. We've never done this before with the live music right next to the stage.
It was so cool.
It was out of control.
Yeah.
And we'll never change it. It will always be right there. And Bell was just getting after it. She's an incredible performer anyway. And man, this sickness is almost gone. I'm like right on the tail end. She's raging. The band is shredding. They're amazing. She works at JHS Guitar Pedals out of Kansas City. Joshua Heath Scott has been here 2 years in a row now to do photography, and he rides bikes, and he owns the company, and he works with like everyone you could imagine. John Mayer, The War on Drugs, like you name it. Jack White, like he works with them directly. And he's the coolest guy I've ever met, and humble as the day is long, right? And
takes beautiful photos.
And terribly attractive also. Like, just take me on a date, Josh. I'm going to be on the JHS show on YouTube soon, and it's a really kind of a big deal, and I can't believe it. And then Bell and the Vertigo Waves has asked Bobcat to come open for them at the record bar in Kansas City, where I've gone to shows and seen the Get Up Kids that are my favorite band ever. So anyway, blah, blah, blah. We find out it's you. And I just bury my face into my hands. And I'm like, this day could not get better. It was the best day of my life.
I'm not going to lie. It did cross my mind of like, oh, damn, this is really good for content and really good for storytelling.
Yes. But it was also genuine as fuck. It was like
yes,
actually happening. We didn't
We didn't plan it.
We couldn't. You can't.
And I genuinely had a really good day on the bike. Like,
dude, you
no
crushed
mechanicals.
14 hours.
I felt really good. Like,
great.
Yeah.
7,000 feet of climbing almost.
It was a lot of climbing.
I tried real hard.
That might have been my hilliest ride ever.
I could have put it over 7,000 feet and made it 103 miles, but I didn't do it. So
Thank
everybody,
you for doing that.
You're welcome. But next year, no promises.
I remember being at Unbound last year and I hit the 100 mile because that was my first century ever, and realizing I still had 4 miles to go, and I was like, God damn it.
Yeah. The longest one we've ever had was year 1. It was almost 108 miles.
That's a lot.
Yeah, we're really masochistic.
I think you have to be to even ride this distance.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Even, like we said, even the 12.
Yeah. Well, hey, Bobby, I could talk to you for hours.
Anytime.
But I have a couple more questions for you.
Yep.
They're going to be kind of rapid fire.
Yep, okay.
Because I have to go to another call to talk about future plans and storytelling.
Yo, because Marley is in demand, and the skillet is hot, and the pancake batter is delicious. So we're making stacks.
I do want pancakes.
Me too. I'm so hungry.
So these are rapid fire.
Let's go.
What? And then we can get coffee downstairs.
Yes.
What is your favorite part of Mid-South as the event owner, director, etc.?
The hug.
The hug. All right.
Every one of them.
Yeah.
Every one of them. Not just not one.
Do you ever get people who are deeply uncomfortable and you can tell, and you just wrap them up in your arms?
No.
That's amazing.
Like, I get people that don't know that it's a thing.
Yeah.
And that's the funniest. That's funny. That's not my favorite, but it's funny. And they go, oh, I get a hug? And they say it just like that every time. They're like, we're doing this now. And I'm like, yeah.
Yes,
and I'm like, how? And I try. It gets chaotic. Dry years with as many people as we have now, the finish line gets chaotic. I'll be honest. I want it to be dry every year. Listen to me, people. I don't want it to be wet. We're going to joke around about it forever and always say #pray4rain because it's funny. But these events are very different. If it is wet, the pros, let's talk about the pros for 1 second. Dry year, they're averaging over the 100 miles, 22 miles per hour is what Payson did.
So fast.
Do you know what Payson can do in the mud? That is still so fast.
Like 16 to 18?
16 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And walking and running. And I'll never forget it. 2020, when Stetna, Colin Strickland, and Payson McElvin, and, dang it, why am I forgetting his name? Dang it, don't forget his name. Awesome cyclocross dude from California. I'm sorry, homie. They're all vying.
Kerry?
No, not Kerry. He's a little bit of an older dude. Okay. And dang it. And he's we've got a YouTube video. If you go to midsouthgravel.com and go to the Stoke tab and go to films, please just enjoy yourself. We've spent a ton of time and resources and money and energy making a lot of films. One of them is about the socially distanced Mid-South in 21 of me riding the Storm Chaser and what it was like to ride the Storm Chaser and what it was like for me to ride my event on what would have been event day, because everyone's like, do you ride the race? I'm like, no, I'm at the finish line.
Yeah.
Both days for everybody. So anyway, but when it's wet, the hug, when it's wet is there's a deepness, like the deepest well that you can't see the bottom of it. The deepest depths of the ocean, that when people cross and they stop and they are, done. Top to bottom. Fastest people to slowest. And some people are okay, but sometimes they're just like, that is the hardest thing. That's harder than any ride, any distance I've ever done, no matter what. And they just melt into me in a way that that does happen also on dry years, but it's just not
different.
It's not the same.
Yeah.
We are now in the process for the first time of building a structure of this is execution of a wet year. This is execution of a dry year.
Interesting. Yeah.
We need to have it. It's different.
Yeah. I imagine just in terms of rider support and volunteer support and
safety. We now have warming stations pre-planned, even in a dry year.
That's so smart.
That we're like, yo, if we need to get people off the course, we had in 2017 that bad 13% finish rate. Only 100 and some people finished out of 700 starters, or whatever it was. Yeah, it was more than that. We had 1,000, I think. I don't know. We were leaving people's bikes on the side of the road and piling as many people in the Jeeps and turning the heater on as full blast. Kuat, shout out, been with me for 11 years, sponsor. They went out in their big van and they were like, we're going to the Smoky Pokey out by I-35 and 51. And we just created Smoky Pokey as a drop point. And they were just filling people in their van and bringing them back.
That's amazing.
It's crazy. So my favorite part of the event, besides the music is probably way up there. And of course me playing, and I'm sorry y'all, like I know I'm not very good, but this is my opportunity to have 1,000 or 2,000 people standing right in front of the stage. I'm going to make you listen to me and my band play music And I'm sorry, not sorry.
I feel like you could just see the joy in your face when you're up there. It's like, okay, yeah, Bobby loves this.
It's what I thought I was supposed to do forever.
Yeah. Okay, so what is the most challenging part?
Running my ideas that I know are phenomenal and great by my team before I execute. So I'm sorry, team. I'm working on it.
I can deeply relate to that. Very, very deeply. So you're not alone in that.
But I love all facets of this.
Yeah.
People talk to me like, don't you hate retail? Don't you hate this? Don't you hate the questions about reg and like, can I get in? And I need a refund, and I'm mad at you. I'm like, no, I love all of it.
Yeah.
I love it because I love people and I love experience, and I love creating an experience where people feel loved and welcomed and accepted. And so like all of it's a part of that, all of it. And and like when people don't understand it, there's two ways that you can approach a conversation and a question about someone that doesn't understand the intention of what you're doing. Number one, you can get really pissed off at them and be like, they don't get it and they're dicks, blah, blah, blah. Or it's a chance for education.
Yeah.
And I cannot tell you how many times the latter, the education piece, has come into play, and people's lives and perspectives have been opened up and changed because of how we handle ourselves as an organization.
Yeah. And
respond to them.
I mean,
in a loving, accepting, understanding way. And if they're rude to us, like we are always going to lead with love. Love wins every time. Hate destroys. Love wins.
Yeah. And you really do feel that conviction from your team in every single interaction.
Yes.
Top to bottom, volunteers, everybody, even like the mayor of, was it the mayor of Perry who was out there?
The mayor of Stillwater.
The mayor of Stillwater.
Will Joyce. And then I brought Larry Pinnell, the city manager of Perry, to come and just say hi to everyone on the stage, and I think I blew his mind. It was sick.
I think so too, but I mean, just those connections
Not
that you're
me,
building.
But we blew his mind.
To connect to these rural communities and, showing folks that this is possible. I think you're really opening up a new area of possibility to small towns and like economic rejuvenation.
And I have Jim Cummins.
Bicycles.
I have Jim Cummins and Joel Dyke to thank for that, because they created DK200 with Christy Moan. Well, Christy came in a little bit later, and she's the piece of the puzzle that brought it downtown.
And that was what's now people know as Unbound.
Correct. Sorry. And but at the time that's what they created, right? And 34 people behind a hotel, and then Christy got involved a couple years later and said, "Hey, we need to involve the community. It doesn't need to be behind a hotel. It's getting too big." By 2010, they had 500 participants, and I rode my bike from my house on 727 South Garfield Street, and I rode down with Emery and Crystal, and we watched 500 riders leave Commercial Street in 2010. And I called Leland Danes, and I was like, "Leland, why are you not here? What is going on?" And he was working for the National Guard at the time, doing some recreational things. And then he came back for a really low paying but commission based position with DK, with Unbound. And Leland has just recently left Lifetime after the acquisition, and now he is the Visit Emporia director.
Wow. Yeah. But just such a cool story.
So anyway, I learned from others.
Yeah.
And like we steal from each other, and we share things, and we, it's super fun. Like we're all doing great work. It's so fun.
Yes, 100%. Okay. And then our final two questions that we ask every guest.
Yes.
What does your dream day on a bike look like?
Mountain biking, Crested Butte, Colorado, big white poofy clouds, perfect weather, short sleeves, shorts, got a jacket just in case it starts raining, because it always starts raining in the afternoon. I'm going to hit Snodgrass. So I'm going to leave downtown Crested Butte, and I'm going to ride the rec path up towards Mount Crested Butte. I'm going to get on Snodgrass. I'm going to ride that, and then I'm going to come off Snodgrass, down the valley, down the gravel road to Lupin. I'm going to hit Lupin and see all of town. I'm going to hit Gunsmoke, and then I'm going to come down from Gunsmoke, and then I'm going to hit the outside, like the town little loops right by the Slate River. And if I opened a bike shop in Crested Butte, Colorado, I would call it Slate Cycles or Slate Bicycles, because of the Slate River. My daughter jumped around in that river before Elliot was born, when she was like 1 or 2, and it was 2, and she was like, she was like, my river, my river,
Aww.
my river. And we just cried. So we got access to Crested Butte through a customer one time, and they let us stay at his condo, and it's been our favorite place ever since ever. Then I get done with the lower loop trails after I've climbed and sweated and jumped and done all this single track, and then I'm going to roll into town. I'm going to go to Secret Stash Pizza, some of the best pizza I've ever had, and I'm going to get a PBR and a slice.
That sounds perfect.
And
then our
very hot shower.
Very last question before this trail maintenance crew revs up their chainsaws again. What is one thing you wish you got to talk about more that people don't ask you about?
Oh, wow. I get to talk a lot.
What? No.
I get to talk, maybe the time in the band. I think In Your Honor, when we got signed to a label, because everyone always asks me about bikes, which is perfect. And I push the boundaries of that and talk about different things. And I'm trying my best to give different perspective to the cycling industry. And I hope that comes through. And, but yeah, you know, like I want to talk about, and I know, I mean, music, yes, right? Music, band, but I want to talk about food.
Ooh.
I'm very interested in learning more about cooking.
Okay.
And cast iron. And can we just talk about caramelized onions for like the rest of our lives?
Oh my God. I make this vegan mashed sweet potato, but it's a savory sweet potato, and you spend like an hour caramelizing the onions.
Oh yeah, every time. Oh yes, low and slow, and I just stare at them. I just kind of like
throw a little salt on them a little bit.
Yeah, I'm like, don't touch them, and I'll put butter in, and I'll put a little more olive oil in, and I'll just look at them. I'm like, I'm gonna eat you in a little bit.
Okay, I am so hungry. This has been a wide-ranging conversation with Bobby Wintle. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for everything you do for everybody. And let's go get some coffee.
Let's do it. I love you, Marley Blonsky.
I love you too, Bobby Wintle.
Good morning, friends. It is 7:20 on the morning of Mid-South. I think a few of us decided last night we're doing the 100 miles. Is that right, Tim?
Think so.
Do you have a plan for today?
Survive it, enjoy it, and take it all in.
Yeah, Tim's one of our Chicago chapter leaders. So we'll hopefully be riding together today. Here with Eli as well, who's putting sealant in their tires. What's your plan for today?
Pedal and whatnot. Have a good time. Enjoy the sunshine. Yeah.
That sounds like a great day. Yeah. Liz, what's your plan? This is your first event, is that right?
That's true. My plan is to trust myself. That's all I got.
I freaking love that. Okay. I think we're ready. We'll check back in from the start line. All right, we are here at the start line of Mid-South Gravel. This is Marley with the All Bodies on Bikes podcast, and I'm here with Yasmin, who you might remember. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm actually feeling really excited all of a sudden.
Yes, the energy here is good. Tell me what's going on out here.
Lay of the land. We're all outside district bicycles.
I thought you were going to say we're all outside. I was like, yeah.
Yeah, we're all outside. It's not an indoor bike race. There's a couple thousand people here. It's a really cool, sort of brisk morning, but it feels pretty good. I think. Yeah, I was anticipating colder weather, and all of a sudden this week it was going to be up to 80, so I'm pretty pumped.
And I just looked this morning. It's like down to 72.
Okay.
Which actually is like lovely for a bike ride.
Way better. Although I heard this wind is going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be part of the game today.
Yeah.
How far are you riding?
100 miles.
Yes.
103.
That is my plan as well.
Cool.
All right. Well, what's your plan for today?
My plan is to chill out in the beginning because I don't want to burn out, especially because it's going to get hotter on the second half. Also, there's more wind on the second half, so we'll see what that's like. But yeah, to make friends and finish the race, ideally.
Sounds like a good day.
Yeah, what about you?
Same.
Okay.
Yeah, I got convinced to do the 100, which might be a choice.
Yeah? Spicy?
I mean, it's a choice I made for sure, but we'll see how my knee holds up.
Yeah.
I think I'm just like caught up in the excitement and the momentum.
Oh my God. Yeah. And you don't want the day to end.
No.
Yeah.
Like, I could hang out at the finish line for a long time.
Yes.
Or I could not. Do you want to go catch up with the Melon and Base Miles folks and ride with them?
That. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll check in later. All right. We are coming up to the end. I just have a cop pull in front of me with his lights on. Coming for that Bobby hug. 30 Jeeps behind me. There's a cop in front of me. Thank you. Whew. We gotta be close. This is getting wild. What a day. So grateful for this opportunity. All my sponsors, everybody for supporting me, my family. I think I can hear Bobby on the microphone. Oh Lord.
I see the finish line clock, actually. It was faster than I thought it was going to be. Oh my god. There's like 1,000 people out here. Holy shit. Do you want to race? Let's race!
You are the Mid-South
DFO! Yes!
You are number one.
We need a burger up in here.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Every single one of you is what makes this special. Thank you so much. Thank you. What do you have to say? What do you have to say?
This is for all the fat kids. Hated running that mile, but I just did 100 of them. Let's go! Yes. Fat kids can do anything they want.
This is an All Bodies on Bikes podcast powered by Feisty Media. The show is produced by Maggie and Marley and edited by the team at Feisty Media. Thanks for listening.